Let's talk a little bit about the Occupy Wall Street movement. I was there. I cut another video just like the one that I did for the Minnesota Occupy movement. And so now I'm demonstrating in two separate videos that despite what we may be hearing from the mainstream media and the alternative media, there are great people on the ground there who are in need of support, informed people, speaking truth about the Federal Reserve. Ron Paul people are there, and the Fed people are there. They're good people. What I found is exactly what I found in Minnesota. I found a heck of a lot of really good, decent, caring people who are there for the right reasons, and those that may not know the big picture still have their heart in the right place.
Unless they bring in agents provocateurs, it'll keep them from reaching their destination, which is violence, which will allow the president to institute martial law, and that's what it's all about from these lefties there.
Yeah, and I haven't seen any calls for violence yet. I'm hoping it remains that way. What I saw when
because there's too many good people in there.
Okay.
They won't allow it to happen. And incidentally, I just got 2 emails this morning from Greece. They came last night, of course. And about 200 goons with balaclavas on, black uniforms, sweaters, that sort of shit, with axes and clubs and smoke grenades, tear gas. They were using all that stuff. These guys are brought in from England. They're mercenaries. And I discovered that 2 weeks ago. And, of course, the press over there says the unknowns are never apprehended. They went right through the police lines. The police opened up and let them right through to do it. So they're working with the government.
Well, look,
they were hired by the government to start trouble among people who weren't doing anything except standing there.
Well, I just want to be real clear. When people watch the video that I did in New York, I tried to make a real balanced approach. This was my experience over 2 days. What you see in the video is what I experienced. You hear from the people in their own voices who they are, what they stand for. Nobody's trying to camouflage who they are. Nobody's wearing masks. If there is any violence in the Occupy movement in this country, you're going to see it from people dressed in black with masks on, and generally those are cops. We saw that happen in Canada. Agent provocateurs will camouflage and mask themselves. The real movement does not do that. The real movement is real people standing there talking into camera saying, this is who I am and this is why I'm here. And that's what I like about the movement, because for anybody who's going to disparage the movement and say it's too late, it's already been taken over by George Soros, all that does is it gives people who are sitting at home on the couch listening to that an excuse to stay home and not go and stand by their brothers and stand up for liberty. So that's why I did this video, because I want people...
So we reverse that and tell everybody the movement is being taken over by the good people.
Yeah, and I mean, because it's not too late to make sure that as long as there's good people there, George Soros has no power. And that's what I saw for 2 days when I was in New York City. I saw good people.
We should cover all this. The thing with the CFTC is just that they didn't do anything. And they think they can continue to get away with it, and they're not.
Now, Harvey Organ got an email back from Bart Chilton, and Bart Chilton said, no, look, if we weren't going to do anything, we wouldn't have taken these steps. We are going to enforce after we define whatever. The point is that Bart Chilton seems to be the one good guy who's trying to do the right thing over there, even though it was a 3-2 split decision on enforcing these limits. J.P. Morgan may be forced to cover, but I personally feel, Bob, that they're probably going to take silver back down to 20, and then they're going to go long.
They're not going to do that. They've already covered.
Everything?
No, but most of it. But those traders always stay short somewhat. I mean, you take the gold futures contracts. They're always, on average, short at least 90,000 contracts. Okay, what are the contracts right now that they're net short? Probably, I'll guess, at 120,000. So they got a little bit more to clean up. When they get up to 700,000 contracts open, that's when you see things pop. There's a lot of room in the upside for gold and silver because there's nothing in the way.
Right. Are you saying that they're not willing to take it back down? I still think that they're going to take it down to probably at least 25, where there's massive support in Chinese buying. What do you see here?
No, I don't see them getting it back down again.
Okay. King World News reported massive buying at the lows by the Chinese in both gold and silver. There's a free flow of information that the powers that be cannot stop now, Bob, and I think that's the greatest hope we have.
Killing them.
We're killing them.
Well, you see what they're trying to do to us on the Internet. You know, the email bombs and all of the nefarious information about us. And it's going to get worse.
Let's talk about the tyranny, because there's a new law that passed in Tennessee. I'm not sure if you've heard this, but the law
I know all about it.
Law bans cash for secondhand transactions. For those that don't know, House Bill 195 basically says that those who buy and sell secondhand goods cannot use cash to make those transactions. And it flew under the radar, so most people and businesses don't even know about it yet. Bob, if there is...
That was in Louisiana. The other one was in Tennessee, where Tennessee is now hunting down terrorists on the highways.
Yeah, if there is absolutely no better example of tyranny than telling people they can't use their money that they paid taxes on unconstitutionally for whatever the hell it is they want to use it for. And what's your take on this?
We're going to have a hell of a program today. We'll move fast on it. And I think the laws, both of them, should be rescinded. But, look at Louisiana. Most of the people in Louisiana, even though a lot of them are Democrats, are pretty conservative. So you just don't go through Tennessee, is all there is to it.
Did I say Tennessee? So it is in Louisiana. Hold on now.
Well, there's two of them. The one in Louisiana is the second-hand one. The one in Tennessee, the government in Tennessee, the state, has hooked up with Homeland Security, or TSA, I don't know which it is, TSA.
Yeah, to patrol the interstates.
And now they have TSA vehicles on the road stopping people and searching them to make sure they're not terrorists.
Let me ask you this. I mean, there's so much coming at us so quickly, it's hard to even know what to talk about because there's so much I want to talk about. Tell me about Gaddafi.
I think they made a terrible, stupid mistake. If he's in jail, he can't have contact with the outside world except through his attorney, and that's attorney-client privilege. So to shoot him the way they did, they had to be instructed to do so, is the stupidest thing they could have ever done.
But it
just proves that all they wanted was the money.
But it just speaks to the murder machine that is this Western empire, Bob, because, if we're to believe that they actually were able to capture bin Laden and then they killed him and dumped his body into the ocean, which is nonsense, but let's say that really happened. Let's say that Gaddafi was captured and NATO forces killed him, murdered him, without trial, without due process. It just speaks to the madness of these people and how out of control this system is.
And all these mercenaries.
It's just disgusting.
They'll do anything for anybody who pays them money.
It's just
you
disgusting.
can't have them around.
And once again, in my daily experience, the people that I know and work around, and friends and family, nobody cares. Nobody cares that Gaddafi was caught and killed and murdered. Nobody cares.
Well, what's going to happen is that the noose is going to tighten. Sooner or later, there'll be violence in America, and they won't be able to go to work. They won't even be able to go down to the store for fear of either being robbed or shot down on the street by the government. And they deserve it.
So we're all over the map, and I think this is a really interesting conversation. It's fun to do it this way. Tell me about what you see with Bank of America and putting $1 trillion back on the books of the American taxpayer, because God knows they're in bed with the Fed, and Bank of America is going to fail because of their $53 trillion in derivatives exposure or whatever it is, and they're putting $1 trillion in an off-book piece of junk that the American people are going to have to back up, and the Fed is absolutely okay with that.
Of course. And what they'll do is nationalize the Bank of America. And all the bad assets now and in the future will go into that account, and we'll pay for it.
So banking bailouts, despite Occupy Wall Street, despite the protests, despite the voice of the American people, these bailouts will continue.
They'll do anything they want.
And that's because
the only way you're going to stop them is to have a revolution, overthrow the government, take them all out and shoot them. That's the only solution until the American people come to grips with it, and they will. I talk in the programs about trials. You're not going to have that. You're going to be 1789 all over again. That's what's going to happen. That's the way the Romans did it.
Well, I've suspected for a very long time that based on the continuity of government plans put into place by Rumsfeld and Cheney that went into effect after 9/11 and have been repeatedly signed and renewed every single year, most recently under Obama, that the coup was really complete after 9/11, and this is just further evidence of it. The American people have no redress of their grievances. It doesn't matter if they occupy Wall Street. It doesn't matter how pure that movement is. It doesn't matter because the powers that be will not listen. Bank of America will continue to get fascist bailouts because the government is fascist, because the Federal Reserve is the government.
That's right. But you can say if you don't listen and it gets to violence, then it's too late. You're going to die. It's all logic. It might be Aristotelian in nature, but it's logic.
We're going to change directions again, and now we're going to talk about silver and gold. And the reason I want to do that is because when I take a look at the big picture and I get frustrated and I don't see any easy outs anymore, every out that we have is a hard out. I go back to physical precious metals as the one way to get the hell out of this unconstitutional, sick system, this monetary system, this fiat system, this criminal system, is to take my paper money and turn it into precious metals that have value and no counterparty risk because it feels good. It's a libertarian thing to do. It's a smart thing to do. It's a pro-humanity thing to do. So, Bob, here's my question. For those who are fretting and very upset that over the last 6 months they've been getting into the 40s and the high 30s and people are really feeling like, now I feel terrible about it, should I sell? Why should they keep at it? Why is continuing to invest in physical precious metals a smart thing to do?
Sell is not on my vocabulary.
Me either.
I buy gold and silver every month.
I do it every 2 weeks.
And I don't buy stocks because I don't want there to be any conflict of interest. I'd love to, and that's my expertise. But you don't sell in a bull market. You don't sell. It's as simple as that. It's the only investment where you can safely put your hard-earned money. There is no place else. It goes up, they go up when there's inflation, and they go up when there's a flight to quality. And so you get two very, very powerful things working for you. And so you don't want to sell. You might sell to exchange one coin for another or one share for another occasionally. Other than that, you don't do anything. Well, I haven't sold a gold or silver coin since 1959. I bought an American 20, which today would be a Saint graded coin, mint state. I paid $47 for it. Mm-hmm. What are they, $2,000 now?
Yep.
$2,200, something like that? Mm-hmm. Pretty good investment.
If you just look at the debasement of the currency at 5% over the next 14 years, you assure yourself safety and a hedge against inflation because they are going to debase the currency. That is the plan.
All the way. And all of these things like the nationalization of the Bank of America, they are flipping off all of their bad derivative bets so the American taxpayer can pay for it. They're doing the same thing in Europe and in England right this minute. Mm-hmm. And that's the mode of operation. Mm-hmm. And, we can change things in America by changing the tilt of government. If we can get Ron Paul elected and people like him elected, we can turn this whole thing around.
All right. Well, thanks for your time. And just real quick.
Anytime. If you want anything, just email. I'll call you.
Okay. I really appreciate it. We're all in this mess together, and we sure appreciate you helping us all keep our heads up.
Listen, we're going to win. The problem is the longer the public waits, the bloodier it's going to be. And one of the good things is all of the military know what's going on.
Yeah.
And I've talked with many of those people, and they know exactly what they're going to do. And it's not going to be with the government. And that's why the government is so mad at Drew Rains and people like me for exposing all this to the military, who now understand how they're getting screwed.
Well, that's heartening to hear. That's heartening to hear. All right, Bob. Well, we'll talk again in 2 weeks, sir.
You got it.
Thanks,
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.